Okay, so here is a little demo on how to do motion tweening. First, we need to have something to tween. So just to make this as simple as possible, I'm going to make a circle. A blue circle, in fact. Okay, just a tip, this goes back to Photoshop too, but if you want to scale something proportionately, then you hold Shift. You see how it's kind of all squishy? If I hold Shift, it's going to lock it to be a perfect circle. Okay, so there's my circle. If you want, you can always put a cool gradient on it. I like that. Okay, that looks kind of neat, hey? An orb, a blue orb. Again, I can even adjust the stroke here if I wanted to, but I don't really want to. Okay, so there's my blue circle. I'm going to select that just by clicking and dragging with the selection tool, and then press F8. Okay, Foxtrot 8. That's the phonetic alphabet. And I'm going to call this blue orb of power. Okay, you know that it's a symbol because it's got the light blue box around it now. So because it's a symbol, we can tween it. The other cool thing about a symbol, which I don't think I mentioned last time, is that once we convert it into a symbol, it is now in our library. So if you click on the library tab, you can see I've got the blue orb of power in the library. So I can drag that in and make as many as I want. So that's useful if you've designed a tree or something that you want to use again and again. Once you've converted it to a symbol, you can basically just drag it from your library, use it again. Okay, so I want my orb to simply move across the screen, and then maybe I'll do some more advanced things with it. So to do motion tween, I know some of you have been doing classic tweens, but I really would like you to do the I guess you could call it the modern motion tween. Because there's some things you can do here a lot more easily that you can't do with the classic tween. So you want to right-click the symbol, create motion tween. On the timeline, it's extended this frame all the way to frame 24. Okay? You probably can't see on your screen, but you can check in the video. It says 24 FPS. That means 24 frames a second. So at frame 24, exactly 1 second will have passed. So if you want your orb to move over 2 seconds, you would extend that to 48. Okay, 24 is the default. You could always increase that if you want higher frame rate, but there's not really any need right now. So let's make this over 48, just to make it 2 seconds. And with the way motion tweens are done right now in Flash, you don't even have to insert a keyframe. You just have to move your scrubber, this red line, to the point that you want to insert a keyframe, and then you reposition your symbol, and it'll automatically insert a keyframe for you. Okay, so it's actually a lot more simple. Okay, and I'm hitting enter to test it, and again, control enter will allow me to export the video. Okay, now just for fun, I'm going to add a face on this so we can tell if it's rotating. You can always edit a symbol by double-clicking on it either here or in the library. So if I double-click this, I can always make changes to it. Just be aware, though, if you are making changes, it's going to change all of them. So like I said, if you're designing a tree or something and you've positioned a whole bunch of them, if you change one tree, it's going to affect all of them. Okay, and then I'll go back to scene 1. Okay, the reason why I added a smiley face is because the next thing I'm going to show you, just to show you again, is to, if I click on the timeline between my two keyframes, go to Properties, then I can add a rotation. So let's add one rotation. And now it looks like my face is rolling across the stage. Okay, what do you guys think of that? Pretty cool, and it's pretty easy to do. Now another easy thing you can do with motion tweens, see this green line, this dotted line? If I'm on the selection tool, which is just the black arrow, if I hover my mouse over that line, you'll see that there's a little curve underneath the selector, underneath the cursor. Now if I click and drag when I get that symbol, I can actually change the curve of that line. Okay, so if I want to make an arc, I can do this, and it's very easy to do. Okay, I still only have 2 keyframes, but I've just caused a bend in my motion path.
So exporting as control.
Yeah, Control Enter is how you get it in its own window here. Now if I want to add another keyframe along the way, I just drag my red scrubber to a different point, so maybe at the halfway mark. Let's drag it down here. You can see that now I've caused a bend in my line because I've added a new keyframe. So let's see how that looks. Okay, and the other thing that I recommend you play with is the idea of easing. Easing out means that it takes longer to stop. Easing in means it takes longer to start. So you can get some kind of different effects. So if you have an object like a car that's coming to a stop, you might want to ease it out. Or if you have a car accelerating, maybe you want to ease it in so it takes a little bit longer to get going. That way you get kind of more realistic movement. Okay, so that's some basic motion tweening. If I want to add another keyframe beyond this, let me just move this one here. I'm going to make it look like it's kind of bouncing all around. Okay, so what I can do at this point is if I want to insert another keyframe, I can just right click on the timeline. I'm just going to pick frame 80 just for fun and insert frame. That extends the length of my blue motion tween, and now I can drag this to another location. Okay, and it will insert another keyframe. So you can keep doing that if you want to make it longer and longer. Okay, so let's see what I have now. Okay, because I said only rotate once, that's why it rotated once and then stopped. So maybe I want to rotate more than once. Let's see, rotate 3 times. See what happens. Okay, there we go. That's a bit better. Okay, if you wanted to delete one of these keyframes, you can Control click. Actually, no, you can just left click. Left click one of these keyframes, and to highlight it, then we can right click and say clear keyframes, and then you want to say all. So what I did is first I clicked it, right click, clear keyframes, all. And that will remove that keyframe from my animation, okay? So if you, yeah. So if you made a mistake on one of your keyframes, it's very easy to remove it. Okay, we can also click and drag that keyframe to relocate it. So I click first to highlight, then I can left click again to relocate it. Okay, we can also, at the very end of your whole animation, you get these 2 arrows pointing in different directions. I can click and drag that to shorten the length of the entire animation. And that will compress the keyframes. So it's basically going to preserve the look of the animation, but it's going to make it happen over a shorter period of time. Okay, so that is motion tweens.